One of the interesting things about espresso, or one of the difficult things about espresso is if you make a blend and you have a particular flavor profile that you're trying to manage every, throughout the course of the year and year in, year out, the actual coffees and components that are available to you will inevitably change, right? So you could buy a beautiful coffee or whatever coffee you want to cultivate for your blend, and then eventually you'll run out of it, right? And even if you're working with the same farms and the same farms to get the same kind of lots, even those lots will change. And so at some point, you're going to have to find a way to blend coffees, source coffees, and blend them in a way that will carry on with some level of consistency, hopefully extreme consistency, for the flavor profile you intend. And so today, I thought that I would go through a little bit of tasting the coffees, because right now here at Spro, we're actually changing over some of the components in our espresso from one crop to the next, right? So what that means is that for the longest time now, we've been using a blend of Ugandan Mount Elgin AB coffee as our base, and then augmenting that with a Chusky coffee from Peru. So it's been a nice blend, and it's what we've been using for probably the last, I think, 6 months or so. And so now some of that coffee is no longer available, and we've moved on to a new blend, or a new blend of coffees. So we're using now, as our base, we're using a coffee from Jinotega, Nicaragua, called the Marimba. It's a strictly high-grown coffee, European prep coffee. So what does that really mean? It just means that it's high-grown, and European prep is just that it's washed a certain way. And so that's really what it is. And it's supposed to have nice notes of cocoa and graham crackers and a bit of nuts, right? Which is really kind of part of the flavor profile that we're trying to push. And then the next component of that, the minor component, is this. We got another coffee from Uganda, the Uganda Rwenzori Kisinga, which is a natural processed coffee. And so this one is supposed to have nice notes of dark chocolate and cane sugar, and and hopefully some nice clean blackberries. So those kind of go together the intention is that those will go together to produce a really nice, robust espresso that is with good body, that has notes of chocolate, nuttiness on the finish, and some fruitiness on the palate, right? And so also we're going to roast it to a medium profile, and that's really the basic idea. So the question is how well did we achieve that for this one? And then how well are we able to match the two? Like, is there a tremendous difference between the two the two blends and roastings, right? So you can see, okay, so I've got two samples, one labeled A, and the other one not labeled, because we don't really, if one is A, we already know that the other is B, right? Okay, so these are the two samples that we're using. And we're using typical 9-ounce cupping glasses that we use here to evaluate coffees. And if you're not familiar, cupping is a method of critically tasting coffees for evaluation, blah, 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 blah. And so as you can see, here is the grind. We're using a fairly medium grind, yes? They're pretty much the same grind size, right? How does that look to you? All right, so, and for this particular 9-ounce glass, we're using 13 grams of ground coffee. And then now it's time to start. So I'm going to get the water and start timing. We're just going to use the timer and count upwards. So with cupping, we just want to make sure that everything gets wet, all the coffee gets wet, and we come right to the edge. And you should do this all in one swoop, while also, if you can see this, I have also wet the entire coffee bed. And we want to make sure that it gets wet because we want to make sure that all of the coffee is hydrated and now extracting, okay? So now we're going to let it sit for 4 minutes. All right, so as you can see here is a little bit of light so you can see oh gosh. Be careful, try not to bump your table. As you can see, you may be able to see this. Some of the coffee is falling, and that's perfectly normal. Try not to bump it because you might cause it to fall a lot. But what we're trying to do is also preserve this cap. Like you can kind of see right here, the cap of coffee that's floating. And you can see it, if I illuminate, you can see there's a cap of coffee there. And this, we want to try to preserve that because there's volatile aromatics that are kind of hiding under the cap, right? And when we get to the point we're going to be evaluating the aromatics, we want to keep those contained so that when we actually break the top with our spoon, we can inhale and, get the full potential flavors. And, part of how you blend coffees is that, you're looking in catalogs or talking to the producers and trying to get their notes for what their coffees taste like. And then you're going to, bring those in, roast them up, and then do your own sampling, tasting, and then determining whether those coffees might meet your profile. So basically what we did is we called for samples for different coffees, roasted them up, tasted them, and thought, okay, well this might go well with that. And or we'll even mix the two and then bring in a bag or two to try it out, and hopefully it comes well, because we actually do what we call pre-roast blending. So we're taking the components, blending them together green, roasting them together, and that's it. Some people believe in doing post-roast blending, meaning that you're roasting each of the components separately and then blending them after. You could do either way. I haven't really found great, tremendous differences by doing it one or the other. We used to do pre-roast blending, and then now we do post-roast. We used to do post-roast blending, now we do pre-roast. So it kind of depends on what you want, right? So, all right, so we're now at 4 minutes. So 4 minutes, the cupping part, this is what we call the break. And the break is when you take your spoon, this cupping spoon, right, this bowly spoon, and you're going to break the top by pushing it through the crust and pushing it away from you. And as that crust breaks, the aromatics are going to rush out. So you're going to, right, all at one motion, right? I'll show you. Here we go. Then you could stir a little bit. Oh, I have to put some. Okay. Now the next one. This one, the aromatic notes are a little bit more roasty. Interesting. All right, so next we're going to do is we're going to clear it off. There's a little bit of like this like scummy looking stuff, right? So we're going to remove that just by using 2 spoons to sometimes I don't know where I'm going with this. And then, of course, rinse it out in another round for the other one. So since we first added the water, about 6.5 minutes have elapsed. And really, we typically wait till about 10 minutes before tasting the coffee because we want to let the coffee cool enough so that it doesn't burn your palate. We're going to go ahead and taste, see how hot it is. So I'm going to take from the A, which is the older blend, the blend we've been using, and that's pretty hot. So there are lots of, this blend, which is the Uganda Peru, lots of body, lots of dark chocolate notes. Definitely some nice peanutty finishing. But on this particular blend, the fruitiness is diminished. Like it's not, this particular iteration wasn't heavy on the fruit. But still quite pleasant. It's a nice, it turns out to be a really nice espresso. And so why am I slurping? Slurping helps to spread the oxygenated coffee across your palate so that you can get better sensory perception. All right, so let's try our new blend. Now this again is the Uganda Rwenzori Kisinga Station Natural, along with strictly high-grown SHG coffee from Jinotega, Nicaragua. Oh, quite different. So where this isn't heavy and like body, this is lighter and like a little bit brighter. It doesn't have, it has good body. Well, but this is heavier, lighter, right? Still a medium to full body, but lighter. And this natural is really kind of punchy, coming through quite a bit. That kind of like brightness, that blackberry brightness is really coming out. Oh, that's really quite interesting. I mean, I did some preliminary blending with it before, but I haven't really. This is actually, so what these are samples from, these are samples from the production roast. So this coffee is actually in the grinders at Spro right now. This is no longer. We're gone. We finished that. I finished this batch today, and now we're moving to this one. Oh, interesting. So it's generally still very similar. However, in the cup here, there is a bit of difference. A little bit lighter, a little bit brighter. That blackberry kind of brightness, right? A little bit of that blackberry acidity. There's still good cacao notes, and there's actually more of that. There's actually kind of a graham cracker-ish lightness. You know, that kind of like, when you're eating graham crackers, you have that kind of grain, bran kind of character to it. There's a little bit of that here in the newer blend. That should be quite interesting as espresso. Oh, interesting. All right, so we're going to continue to drink or to sip from the cup while we do our usual cigaring today. And if you happen to be tuning in, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate you spending the time with us here. We're here every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you have any questions about cigars, coffee and cigars, or together, separately, whatever you want, drop in the comments below. We'll see if we can answer them. Either myself or someone from the audience can usually bring some kind of semblance of an answer.